Hi, friends and comrades. Thanks very much for coming here today. It's really great to see you here all, and I'm sorry that you're going to suffer for a few more minutes in this heat, but it's for a good cause. What's a bad cause? How about Elon Musk, who recently said that the biggest problem, the fatal weakness of Western civilization is too much empathy. Too much empathy. That's the problem with society, right? Coming from the Vice President for the United States for corporate greed, is that who he is? Coming from the guy who has the unique record of converting the White House into a giant showroom for his Tesla swastika, as it's become known. Who would have believed what we are seeing today? But Elon Musk, that's his view, right? Too much empathy. But we don't have the same view as the billionaire class that he represents. They are busy promoting hate, division, war, profits first, super exploitation, ecocide, and they actually want to break down solidarity. But the socialists stand for the exact opposite. We want a society that is based on solidarity and living together with nature. We want more empathy, not less empathy. We want people to love each other. We want people to work together, stand up for each other, not fight each other, hate each other, run each other down, not behave like that President of the United States is. He thinks he's the Godfather. He's running scripts from the Godfather over again. He goes to every country, goes to every country's leader, and he says, I've got a deal that you cannot refuse, you see, because he's the Godfather. And if you don't crawl and beg, well, you get slapped around. The bully boys are in charge, and that's the situation today. And what we want to argue in this campaign is that socialism is not just a nicer idea than that monstrous idea that we are seeing today coming from these powerful people, but it's also a possible, a practical solution for humanity and for the world. I want to quote, and can you slip the slide to Gramsci, please? Famous quote, you must recognize this. Antonio Gramsci, an Italian socialist who died in Mussolini's prisons in the 1930s. And this is one of his famous quotes. The old world is dying and the new world struggles to be born. Now is the time for monsters. And aren't we living in this time? The time of monsters. But why are we talking about this guy? He said this, nearly 80 years ago. How long is this time of monsters going to last? You might ask yourself. Well, 80 years is a little bit over than a human lifespan in a rich country like this. So let's be generous. Maybe the age of monsters began before he said that. So let's say it's 1.5 lifetimes of the age of monsters. That's not a lot of time, and I'm not comparing it to geological time, I'm talking to historical time. 1.5 lifetimes actually is not a long time. And if, the second part of his quote, about the new world trying to be born, if there is truth in that, if this time of monsters is a time of a death struggle of the old system, then we have something we can hope for. But in this election, I want to remind us of something which is very important, because it's not just a matter of understanding how we got to this time of monsters, but also it's an understanding to give us an understanding about how we're going to get out of it. How did the Donald Trumps of the world come to be voted for and elected into power? How did the neo-Nazi AfD get such a big vote in the recent German elections? How are the neo-fascists getting a bigger and bigger vote in France today? And you can go through country after country after country about this. How did it happen? It happened because the old traditional parties of government, if you compare it to this country, Liberal and Labor, have actually enabled this situation. Because they've been lying to people now for decade after decade. Decade after decade. They said to the same thing. You elect a Labor government in, you elect a Liberal government in, they still said the same thing. You work harder, he said to ordinary people. You work harder, you make the pie bigger, everyone gets a bigger slice. And it's bullshit. Sorry, it's bullshit. Last decade, can you believe it? The top 10%, as Rachel said, got 93% of the benefit of all the growth. And the rest of us, we're sharing 3%. So they've been lying to people. Life has got harder. Today, ordinary working people cannot give their children the same chances that they had back when they were younger. They had a chance to maybe buy a home in the country like this. Their children today, no chance. You know, home ownership is not a question of somewhere to live, somewhere to have security. It has become another chip in the gambling for the rich people. And the price goes up and up and up and up. And now we got Donald Trump. He's making the stock market go up and down. People get scared. Rich people get scared. They'll take the money out. They'll put it into investing in houses. And they'll push the prices up. And ordinary people won't be able to get a job. So let's remember how we got here. So when people are so angry and so frustrated, the way these right-wing populists like Donald Trump come in is they try and take you to blame somebody else. Not the people who caused the pain. Somebody else. The recent immigrants, the refugees, the foreigners, the people of different religion, people of different skin color, all of it. That's the way they're doing it. So that's how we got here. And in this process, they were successful because they did one very important thing. They weakened the very force that was preventing them from going on this all-out greed offensive, the organized working class. Now, I began my politics in this country when the trade union movement had more than 60% of the workers organized. Now what is down to about 12% or something. 60% to 12%. So if you want to know why the billionaire class is getting away with it, is because they have weakened the very people who can fight against that, and that's the working class. So we need a stronger working class, and that's part of our message here. And we don't just mean stronger unions. We need stronger unions, more militant unions, more unions controlled by the rank and file, not by overpaid bureaucrats who are just interested in doing a deal that suits them, but controlled by the ranks who fight for the right of the ordinary workers. But we need all those other working class organizations, the community groups that many of you belong to, the action groups to save housing, the action groups to fight racism, to fight homophobia. That's what we need to build. And you know, I'm very pleased to see all the people in this room here who have been doing just that. Paul Keating has just come in the room. We are happy to march side by side with him in defense of the CFMEU, which is subjected by a Labour government to a horrendous attack because it is the most militant and fighting union in this country. We cannot let us get away with that. Now, finally, I want to say, comrades, before I leave, all of you in the room, from all the different communities here, and I recognize each one of you. We have marched together, we have fought together, side by side. You are all part of the hope for building the future. But you're also, your presence here is also proof of the record of the Socialist Alliance, which I'm standing for in this election. That's why you're here. You're here because we have worked together. And that's the most important skill to have in the next period, in this period of fighting the monsters. The ability to unite with everybody we have to unite with to defeat this horrible offensive. So I want to thank you all for coming here today, but let's not think this is the end of it. This is just the beginning, friends. This campaign is a work together campaign. It is a unite, let us march together, let us change the system, and let us come out in a different situation altogether beyond the period of monsters. Thank you.
Authorised by Neville Spencer, Socialist Alliance, Sydney.